Hello, my friends. Welcome to the live stream Saturday at noon Eastern time. That's New York time. So we'll just get right into it. I've got a few questions that I want to answer for you guys, and then whatever questions pop up during the chat. So this live stream will include things like soil blocks. There's a person that wants to know a bit about soil blocks and why they're effective and if he should use them or not. How long does the vinegar take to finish the water-soluble calcium? And I want to comment on theoretical versus experiential knowledge and give you a couple of examples and some land prep for next year, and also the best fertilizer for beginners. What's up, Jason? Good to see you here. So also the best fertilizers for beginners. Okay, so I want to talk first, actually, about the theoretical versus experiential knowledge until some people join up on the live stream. So there's a lot of people that, and I see in the comments, but also in YouTube and stuff like that, and the people have a really thorough understanding on a conceptual basis. Hello, Corey, what's up? Hello, Trish, good to see you again. They have a really good theoretical understanding of what is going on. Maybe they have like a degree in biology or something like that. And so they know a lot of the things, the technical terms, and they know a lot of the things about microbial action, but they just don't have the experience. So when you try to see their garden, they don't really have one, or they can't really grow stuff all that well. And so it doesn't always directly translate. Having a lot of book knowledge, it doesn't always directly translate into experiential knowledge. Just because you can try and tell me in the comments or something that well, actually bacteria is doing it this and this, and then use some complicated biology terms, that's fine, okay, but that doesn't mean that you can grow anything any better than me or anyone else. So I'm just saying there comes a point you have to know the theoretics, the books, and the functioning of things, but you don't have to overcomplicate it. And then the transition, you have to have the experiential knowledge as well. You have to do it. And this goes with anything in life, really, but you have to have a good concept and then do it. And then practice, trial and error, years of trial and error. That's where most of my knowledge comes from. And people ask me this sometimes. And so when I was in California, man, I found my passion, and I was able to experiment with so many different things. Hello, Reed, good to see you again. And I was able to experiment with so much stuff and find out what didn't work and what does work, and then observe. So if you're wanting to find, to gain real knowledge yourself, it's all about implementing the theories, implementing what feels right, what knows to be right, what you know to be right, and then observing. So do a little bit and then observe. Do some things, change some things, and observe. Have a test group, a control group, all this kind of stuff. This is how we arrive at real knowledge, okay? So, yeah, because I definitely get in some of the comments and stuff, some people that think that they're really smart and that they're going to tell me how it really is, and that's fine. But I'm just saying, look, guys, it all works, okay? It works, and I know it does. So that's what that is. That's my rant about that. Cucumber, lemon balm, and mint. Put it in there. Why did you leave Cali? Well, because in 2018, the industry I was involved in sort of collapsed, and everyone had to leave. Everyone just had to leave, either willingly or not willingly. But I fortunately left willingly. So the whole life that I had there, the whole lifestyle, all of that just sort of collapsed. And so I had to leave. I wasn't ready to leave. I didn't want to. I was on a homestead. We're raising all our own food and livestock and chickens and goats and all of this. We had the pond full of trout. It was just great. It was really great. All kinds of fruit trees. I didn't ever want to leave. I didn't want to leave. But the one thing that we were all doing there, was sort of frowned upon in some circles. And so we had to leave. and people were getting their land confiscated. I mean, it was just unbelievable. This is all what I will write. I'm writing a book right now about the 10 years of traveling, but also the years I spent in California and all of this. And so that's what is going to come out in the book, you know, that kind of thing. Reed says, I just made sauerkraut and have some brine left over. Can I do something with it? Brine, what do you mean you have brine left over? You shouldn't have any brine left over. Brine from you didn't add brine, right? There's no need to add brine unless you had some really old wilted cabbages. But the brine from the sauerkraut should be itself, and you want to use it all, man. Let it, because it should be fully submerged in its brine. You want that to be fully submerged in the brine. So I couldn't really envision a circumstance where there would be extra, but if you do have extra, you can use that. It's pure lactobacilli, basically. You can use that to start the labs. You can use that, actually use that for the fish hydrolysate. You can use that in place of the labs. It works really good because that's a good, strong, fresh batch if you've got the leftover sauerkraut juice. Also, I'm going to be showing you guys how to, Reed says, just very wet and more brine than fits in my jar. Oh, well, you're lucky. You had some really good fresh cabbage. Then if you have some extra, you can make the fish hydrolysate. Also, I'm going to show you a really beneficial fertilizer to make for house plants that utilizes bananas and some stuff like that. So as we come more towards the fall time, I'll be showing you guys houseplant fertilizers because I'm also a bit of a houseplant aficionado, if you want to say. So, and we don't use these ferments on houseplants, okay? I mean, not most of them, because what ends up happening is you end up with a rancid, sort of foul-smelling, pot of sort of rancid material, because you don't have the power of the soil food web like you do outside. So, yeah, so you can use it for those kind of things, all right? I adore houseplants. I feel kind of late right now. Hopefully it just started. Oh, the live stream? Yeah, it just started. Morning, just found you last week. Very excited for the knowledge and goodness from your words. Thank you, Avalon. Hello from Calgary, Alberta. Clive, hello. It is 16 degrees C and blue skies. What's 16 C? Maybe I'm thinking 75 degrees Fahrenheit. That's just a very rough sort of shooting from the hip. Trish said, there's a lot of truth to that. I've been growing in my yard for 3 summer seasons now, and I am still experimenting and learning what works and what doesn't. And ultimately, that is the best knowledge, is knowledge that you have gained through your own experience, because then it doesn't really matter what people are telling you or what the books say. It doesn't even really matter what the books say, because if you have experience that says, well, I know this is true because I've done it, then end of story. Let's see. But that being said, don't ever think, it's very important to never think that you know everything there is to know. It's very important not to think that you know everything there is to know, and not to be open to more knowledge, absorbing more knowledge and expanding your base of understanding. It's an endless absorption of knowledge and understanding that is just fantastic. It just fuels the fire of life, fuels the fire of inspiration and just the thirst. It was this thirst for knowledge that brought me all throughout the world. Made me just get up and sell all my stuff and leave everything and go out and travel the world for 10 years. Just doing the craziest things I could possibly conceive of doing. Like riding my bicycle from Madrid into the West Sahara, through Tangier and Morocco and all of this. The bicycle in the desert, which now seems totally insane, but at the time I had a thirst for knowledge. Okay, I've been growing food and gardening for 20 years. Knowledge never stops. That's right, unpopular truth. Luke says, you mentioned to me in the comments that the optimal temp for lactobacilli is 85 for these ferts. I don't know if I said 85, but okay. When I looked it up, it mentioned 85 to 114, and I know milk comes out at 100, so conditions matter. Yeah, they do. But again, that is not going to matter that much. Ideally, for the lactobacilli, it's like between 70 and 85 to 90. That's just what I have found. If it's too high, if the temperature is too high, you'll see then if it's too high, it will just turn rancid. It will just turn rancid and it won't ferment properly because the temperatures allowed too much of the bacteria that we didn't really want to grow, and it just spoils stuff. So experiment and you'll know for sure. But what I found is that between 70 and 85 to 90 is the ideal temperature for that. Then it always works. It doesn't not work. Hello from Norway. Hello, John Michael Michelson. My lineage is also from Norway. My whole family is from Norway. Many years ago, of course. And much love from the West Coast. Oh yes, my heart is always in the redwoods of Humboldt County, my friends. I'm just learning about all the ways to improve our garden, but one thing about the microbes in a lab versus the soil garden is that there are two different control environments. Oh, okay. That was a two-part. I see, yeah, okay. Got you, Luke. Sorry, I didn't see the two-part thing. 60 it's 60 Fahrenheit right now? Where are you, Clive? Man, that would be nice. It is like 85 here. Let's see. Just me, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. That is very inspiring. I appreciate that. Just me. I love the big trees. Unpopular truth. Reed says, one more question. Just got an indoor viney plant like you have, but we'll be going out west this winter, so my house will be freezing. Will it kill my new little friend? Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Any houseplants that we have, houseplants have evolved, or whatever you want to call it, to live underneath the dense canopy of the jungle. And so that's why we can keep them in the house, because they've evolved to survive on very low light underneath the dense jungle canopy. And also they can just, when they don't have enough nutrients or light, they'll just not grow. Many plants, like if you tried to grow cabbages inside, they would just die because they need that fast growth. But the house plants, no. So they evolved in the tropics, okay? Darren, greetings from Trinidad and Tobago. Greetings from the Midwest of America, right next to Chicago. Are there any dangers to fermenting? I'm concerned about foodborne illness or contamination, Trish says. You know what? I mean, I'm not, let the record reflect that, you always make sure that you are doing all of your things, following safe food practices or whatever. Me personally, though, I've just done it so much. And if something smells off, trust your scent. We have that. That is one of the primary things for scent. So trust your smell. Something that you're going to eat, even kimchi and stuff, it shouldn't smell foul. There's a difference between the smell of a good ferment and the smell of like death. And so if it smells like, no, I shouldn't be eating that, then don't eat it. Then something went bad. But for the most part, I mean, we understand what we're doing, then no, they're perfectly safe. I mean, I ferment so many different kinds of things, and it's the life force that it gives you inside of just the probiotics, what they do, and I'll make some videos about, what they do and why they're so beneficial. But when we consume them, this just boosts our connection with everything, our life force. It's the living organisms within us. Got a groundhog eating my plants. Well, sounds like someone needs to go to sniper training school. Good morning. We've had a very cool summer on the Oregon coast. Oh man, I so miss the climate of Humboldt and the Oregon coast and all of that. Anywhere the redwoods grow is ideal climate for me. It was overcast a lot and nice cool. The winters were rained nonstop, but then it was bone dry all summer long. Okay, let me see. Hello from Canada, Jay Lee. Hello. To one's own soil. So many more fertilizer. Okay, Luke says, I think this would also correlate to what one's own soil needs. One's soil might need more of one fertilizer versus another person's soil. Yeah, that can be true. But the foundations are the same, though, of building the living soil. So no matter where you are, you can begin the practices of the organic matter, the leaf mold, the decomposition, things I'll show you guys this winter. Lots of things I will show you in as far as how we can make our soil, no matter what your native soil is like, you can make it fantastic within 1 season. You can. I mean, you can make it growable. It'll take a few seasons for it to be really like incredible black gold. But you can definitely, there's many things that you can do. So once you get the foundations of enriching the microbial life in the soil and letting them do all the heavy lifting, then it doesn't matter where you go or what the soil's like or whatever, you know how to fix that and what to do. Okay. Darren says, I love your videos and have been doing natural gardening like you for 2 months, making natural fertilizers and not using commercial products anymore. My garden looks so much healthier. Absolutely, Darren. Not only is it healthier, the produce is much more nutrient dense, which is very important. Yes? If I got off on the thing of nutrient density and stuff, my friends, it is so. Did you know? And there's all kinds of studies that have proven this. Did you know that an apple that you eat now, in this, if you go to the store and get an apple, has 1/4 of the amount of minerals in it that the same apple did in your grandparents' age? And so that is one reason that there is so much more illness and all kinds of imbalances, because the food just doesn't have the nutrients in it anymore because of the modern ways of growing things. It's all about yield. It's all about the heaviest. You got to get the heaviest, and it's got to look perfect, because that's how that's how people get paid. That's the reward system, is based upon yield instead of nutrient density. And so that produces things that are kind of fluffy, I call them, devoid of nutrients. Luke says, do you find certain parts of the fish make better hydrolysate compared to others? Do fish guts work well? Have you experimented with other animals such as beef or chicken heads? Yes. And we talk, the whole fish is best. The whole fish is best because the whole anything is always best. It's best not to cut up or to extract certain parts. But yes, because the fish, the bones have got all kinds of calcium, magnesium, good stuff in it, phosphorus. And the flesh has got really good high nitrogen content. The guts has got all the stuff that it was eating, you know, as well as all the microorganisms. You want the whole thing preferably. But if you live like next to a fish cleaning station, then whatever the scraps are. When I lived in California, I first learned to make this stuff. We lived right on the coast. And so they had like a fish cleaning station where there was a big barrel, a big yellow barrel. And all the fishermen, once they were done cleaning the stuff, they just threw it all in this massive barrel. And I would go up and just take a bunch of it and start making the ferments. And it works awesome. Yes, and you can do it with any animal. You can ferment anything in this way. Now, it will take longer unless you totally liquefy it, but muscle protein, like flesh from an animal, takes a lot longer to decompose generally than fish. The amino acids in the fish break down very quickly and easily. So it will just take a bit longer if you're going to do whatever kind of animal you're talking about. Do you plan to do a video about neem oil or other pest control methods? I've had a number of pest control videos. No, not neem oil. Just because unless you grow the neem plant and can harvest and manicure it yourself, it doesn't make sense to me. Because if you have to go and buy neem oil from places and just buy more stuff, you become totally dependent upon neem oil and the neem oil suppliers. And so it just, if you can grow the plants, that's the pesticide that you need to be using. So that's what that's my philosophy of it, is to use what you can grow and what is available and what is plentiful and what works. But otherwise, no, I'm not about using it, and it's just not necessary. That being said, though, I am going to show you the JADAM sulfur, because that's a fungicide that works unbelievably well. This sulfur stuff, man, and I got to attribute 100% of this to JADAM. But when I started making this stuff, it was unbelievable what it can do for the soil and what it does for if you've got a disease, anthracnose and peppers or whatever it is, you just use this sulfur. It's really nice and powerful. So I will be showing you guys how to make that. For that, you will have to buy sulfur. And I'll put links in the description to all that kind of stuff. On those kind of videos, I'm always putting links in the descriptions now, guys, because, you know, I jumped on the bandwagon. Hey, I'm now an Amazon associate, affiliate, you know, so any of the links, I get like a real small kickback, you know, without any additional cost to you guys. So I appreciate it. If you use the links, I mean, if you're going to be buying stuff anyways, I appreciate it if you use the links in the description, because that, you know, it doesn't cost you anymore and it gives me a little kickback. So, of course, I like that. And then they just put like a gift card into my Amazon account so I can like buy something. That always makes it cool. Let's see, I made a little blaster to clean beer bottles, but now I use it on my Concord grapes to blast the white flies off. Wow. How to get black spots off of my basil leaves. Yeah, I would have to see the growing conditions. If you're getting black spots on the basil leaves, I'd have to see the growing conditions. It could be caused by the flea beetles damage. It could be caused by a disease, but the JADAM sulfur would work really good. The JADAM wetting agent, which is just the Castile soap, which I will show you guys eventually. I got a lot of questions about, can you show us how to make the Castile soap? Yes, I can. But the thing is, before I started this channel, I just started this channel like 4 months ago, maybe. It was in the early spring I started this channel. And I had just made 29 gallons of this stuff for like $60 is all that costs. But I just made 29 gallons of the homemade Castile soap. So I'm good for a while, but I am gonna try and figure out how to make a small 5-gallon bucket batch. I'm gonna have to do all the calculations. The ratios of JADAM are really confusing. So it took me a long time to figure this stuff out. But when I do, I will show you guys how to make it. Luke says, do you test your soil for nutrients, or do you do any test kits at all? Okay, I used to test them. When I was in California and I first began learning all of this stuff on commercial grows and stuff, and so I went through all the different phases. I was like a different relationship with testing until my understanding became holistic of the soil and how it works and how the food web works and how the plants work. And over the years, I come to the understanding that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all what your soil tests like. So no, I never ever test the soil anymore. When I set up gardens for people and grows for people all over the place, then I go there and I never test the soil. I never recommend them to test the soil. I never pH the soil, none of that stuff. That is the way that has been fed to us. So if the soil will self-regulate once it's healthy, essentially, absolutely, that's the key. In a very succinct way, yes. When the soil food web is thriving, it doesn't matter what is in the soil. And so testing the soil and then seeing what is missing and then adding things, that is a way that has been imprinted into our mind by the industrial ag complex. Because then you have to buy things to adjust the soil. You have to buy things to put the pH up or the pH down, or then add nitrogen, and then you have to adjust the N, P, and the K and all of that. All of that is the way that is leading us into disaster as far as agriculture on this planet at this time. We have to get completely away from that and back to the old ways. Our ancestors never tested the soil. They never adjusted the pH. They never did all of this. And yet our ancestors were the original sustainable farmers. Their lives depended on this stuff. And so their lives depended on the soil being fertile, just like ours do, okay? So we have to, there's no need to do any of that, all right? Because we are going to use the soil food web, and that is the secret. That is the primary heavy lifter of all of this, is the soil food web. And so we are going to put things in there, and they will become plant available. And also, contrary to popular understanding, as far as pH goes, you hear so many people, well, the first thing you want to do is send off a soil test to your local ag extension company who's going to tell you exactly how the agricultural companies want you to farm. But you don't need to do that, because the plant actually adjusts the pH that it needs directly in the area around the root. It's called the rhizosphere, the place around the roots. And the plant adjusts the pH of that to exactly what it requires based upon what it knows that it needs. And the way that it will do this is that it will capture energy from the sun and combine the nutrients in the soil and the air and the moisture, and it will produce the exact type of sugar that it knows will attract the exact type of bacteria, microorganisms, that will then create the certain type of environment that it needs. It's just mind-blowingly perfect and unbelievable and unimaginable perfection. So all of this nature already does. And once we learn this and we feel this and it flows through us, then we can see and we can just feel what the plants need. We can just feel what the soil is doing, what it's saying. And you can smell rich soil. And I go into a place and I can just immediately see, based upon the light exposure, the soil, the smell, all of this, how fertile the place is. And Jay Lee, NPK isn't enough for the soil or the food. You need a balance of everything in the soil and the food. Absolutely true, yes. And this is the way that we have to begin thinking once again. Because NP and K is not, nature never worries about NP and K. Neither did our ancestors. They knew that certain things were good for the soil. And they knew to return what came from the soil, return it to the soil. They knew this. Manures, fertilizers, these kind of things. Ricky Lou, yes, I think your name is Tammy, is that right? Yeah, I forgot. Oh yeah, Tammy from Mexico. Hello, good to finally see that you caught this. If you have your burning question, you better ask it. So Trish says, do you plan on making a video about food storage after you harvest? Oh yes, I'll be making many videos about that because that's the other part of it. I've been researching alternative do-it-yourself root cellars because I live near the water and my basement is damp AF all the time. So yeah, if your basement's damp AF, is it also cool AF? Because that is what's most important. Dampness is not a problem actually when it goes to storing most of the vegetables. Most root cellars are pretty damp. So I will show you though multiple different food storage methods, including ferments. That's also part of it though, but also like actual things that we'll do in the garden. Ricky Lou says, question, what do you think about using neem for the dang bug worms I'm dealing with, and how should I mix and apply it? So I think that you missed my rant about neem oil, but I do not recommend the use of neem oil. If you grow the neem tree, then you can use it and stuff, and that's fine. But it's not, if you can't, well, I already said all that, okay? So I don't want to bore the people that are following along. But if you don't grow it, then it's not really going to work, okay? But that being said, go ahead and use neem oil and stuff if you want, but I can't give you any recommendations because I stopped using it years ago and I never went back. So, but once you get the things under control, once you get it's your first year or two like this will be, you'll have an imbalance of microbes and soil things and predators and stuff. So you may have an infestation of something, but after a season or 2 seasons or any longer than that, things will become balanced and the predators will keep other things in check the way that nature does it. And so you just won't have the pest pressure. The first year, see, I've been in this house like 4 years now, and the first year that I started this one here, it was just decimated with slugs and flea beetles and all kinds of stuff. I mean, nothing was even growing because this is a backyard in Urbania, you know, it's like sort of suburban, but it's like pretty close to downtown. Quick knee, $5. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. That always feels good. And so the first year, it was like there was a huge imbalance of everything. So I was infested with all these different pests, so much that stuff would hardly even grow. So I had to use all these natural pesticides and stuff, and they work great. But they don't kill the beneficial things. So now I go back there, and the place is crawling with praying mantises and the predatory wasps. I've literally, the other day, sat there and watched a wasp fly down and pick up a tiny little just hatchling of a cabbage moth and fly away with it. I was like, yeah, go, yes. Call all your buddies and tell them to come here and take more of these things. So that's why we don't want to do anything that kills the beneficials as well. Okay, let's see here. Dana, Indiana, Kentucky. So, of all the fertilized mixes that you have shown on your channel that you have made, which ones can you store long term and which ones can you cannot? Okay, that's a great question, and it depends what you mean store long term. So, do you mean like store in an airtight container on the shelf in your house or something? Or do you mean how long can you store it like in the barrel outside? Because those are two very different things. So because they all store virtually indefinitely, except for the labs, the lactic acid bacteria serum, that's good for, I mean, you'll get conflicting opinions, but my experience is about, you want it to be good and strong. So the labs, you want 2 to 3 weeks in the refrigerator is all that you really want to use. You know, it could last longer. But it'll lose its power. And I've found this out by trying to use it to ferment things. And after it's a month or two old, then it doesn't ferment as well. But other things, similar to, yes. So if you mean in the barrels and all of that outside, all that stuff just continues to get better and better with time, because the microorganisms are breaking these things down and making the nutrients more plant available. So we are sort of speeding up what naturally happens in the soil, but because of the water, they can proliferate so much better and move through the water. And so these barrels, they get better with time. And so you just, when the season is over, just let it, if you're in a place where it freezes, then just keep it about a third full, you know, and just let it go. The microbes will freeze, they'll come back to life, they'll freeze, they'll thaw, they'll freeze, they'll thaw. Not a problem, because these are all indigenous microorganisms that are accustomed already to whatever kind of climate you have. So it's not gonna matter, okay? But the urine one lasts indefinitely, and you can bottle that one up. The fish one, once it's totally done after like 9 months, I bottle it up into mason jars and I put it in the basement, and it stays good for a long time. But it's best you just keep using these things, okay? The only one that you can really store for a long ass time is the calcium, water-soluble calcium one. That you can just put in a jug and put it on the shelf, because it's a suspension of calcium acetate, okay? Yes, airtight containers in house. Okay, so airtight containers in house. The ones that you want to do that are like the fish hydrolysate. That works really good with this. The fish fertilizer, once it's finished, yes, you can do this. The water-soluble calcium, yes. I can't remember the other. The ash one stays good indefinitely. You can put that in containers in the house. But the ones that get better with time, where the ingredients, see, all the ones I just listed, you filter that stuff out. And then you can put it on the shelf. But the other ones, they kind of continue to ferment, and so you want to leave those outside, you know. But you could, if you had to, strain those off and filter them, and then filter them through like a t-shirt, and then put them in airtight containers in the basement or house, whatever. You could do that as well, and that would be fine. Yeah. Really, the only one that has to be used fresh is the labs, the lactic acid bacteria. And you see, the human urine, you can use, the organic stipulations say that you have to ferment human urine for 6 months through a digestive process before it can be used on the crops and be certified organic. And so that's pretty much, you know, that's what I recommend to people. I mean, it's a good amount of time, you know. If I make cheese on the stove using lemon juice, is the lactose bacteria still okay? Absolutely not, my friend, and that's a great question. Completely different substance. So when you make like paneer, like Indian cheese, or I forget the other names for it, but like mozzarella or something, but when you heat the milk up and then you coagulate it with an acid, either vinegar or lemon juice, and it coagulates, that is chemically separating the milk proteins from the whey. So you're going to have a substance that visually appears to be the same as the labs, the lactic acid bacteria, but there's nothing in there that is going to be beneficial in the same way that the lactic acid bacteria is, because we're cold coagulating it basically through a process of microbial digestion in the labs. And that's what creates the serum that is bursting with life, okay? And the cheese that is also bursting with life. But if you make it on the stovetop with the acid, no, that kills everything and that makes it sterile. So that you're not going to get any of the benefits. You'll get, it's good protein source, yeah. It's still a good way. I make that too. When I make Indian dishes, I make paneer. Let me know if you want to see a video on how to make Indian paneer. That'll be more towards the winter time when the gardening stuff's done. But yeah, so question, can you use the urine indoors? I bought a bucket for doing this. Now, Ricky says this, or Tammy says this. So I think that you have a greenhouse indoors, right? You said you're in Mexico, you have like a greenhouse indoors or something. You can, yes, you can. But like, okay, let me just show you real quick. If you are talking about these kind of house plants, like what you see behind me, or if you're talking about like these kind of house plants, then no, I recommend not using any of that kind of stuff, because you see these, because what will end up happening is you'll end up with a root mass that doesn't have the full power of the soil food web and the conditions of the wind and the sun and the rain and the air, and it's going to turn kind of rancid. So no, I will be making specific videos about things to make indoors, about indoor fertilizers. But if you have like if it's like an indoor greenhouse that has like drainage and all that kind of stuff, then sure, you know, you can use that. But okay, Ricky says, I am turning my small casita into a greenhouse. No, I am planting veggies and herbs, not house plants. Okay, then yes. You can use all these ferments. If you're gonna have, if you have it so that it can drain freely and it's like sort of a greenhouse, absolutely, yeah, you can use all these ferments in a greenhouse, for sure. So long as they can drain and breathe and stuff like that, and the smell isn't really that big of a deal. Even though we're only using most of this stuff at 1 ounce a gallon, and so that's so diluted that it's not really gonna matter. People ask me about the fish fertilizer. Well, what about the bears or the raccoon? Well, bears is a different issue, but raccoons and stuff like that, the other critters, they don't even notice it. At 1 ounce a gallon, it is so dilute, it's not an issue. I mean, most of these, once you mix them up, you can't smell anything. And if any of your pots, listen, my friends, listen to this tip. If any of your pots begin smelling like in a foul way, add 1 ounce a gallon of well, actually go a little bit heavier. Go like 2 ounces a gallon of the labs, the lactic acid bacteria serum that I made the video about, and water the pot with that. That labs cures smell somehow. It just does. If you have a smelling pot, water with the labs, and it will cure the smell. That's a tip worth the price of admission right there. Page 280 in the English JADAM book. What are you talking about? Vince says page 280 in the English JADAM book. So can you use the fish fertilizer indoors? Yes. Again, it depends what kind of indoors you're talking about. If it's like house plants, I wouldn't. I don't. I mean, I used to till they turned rancid. But if you're talking about indoor greenhouse, been doing foliar spray with urine and calcium. Fantastic, Byron. That is a good way, especially for flowering plants. Awesome stuff, Mr. Viking. Yes, thank you, Angela. Angela Melo. That's fun to say. 6 months for urine. Is there a reason for that? Remember, I said that is what the organic certifiers say that you have to use before, because it breaks down. Because a lot of the stuff like the medications and all that stuff and the pathogens or whatever might be in there, even though urine is very sterile, you know, you can drink, look up the practice of Shivambu. I became familiar with that in India, although I don't practice it. It is the drinking of one's own aged urine. And it's very beneficial, but it's sterile, okay? So the urine, it's best if you ferment it because many reasons. You know, I'm talking about, that's what the organic certifiers say, okay? And it's best, it breaks everything down. I mean, through the understanding that I have of it, it breaks down the medications and all of that kind of stuff, okay? It's like the posi track on a 68 Plymouth. How does labs work? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. This bud's for you. Indoor grow room cannabis. Is that what you're talking about? These ferts? What, like a tent, or like you got drainage, or you don't got the drainage, or what? I mean, there's. Don't even get me started on that aspect of things. Page 280 will give you ratios for smaller batch wetting agent. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I knew it was in there somewhere. Yeah. And so I will do that. Yeah, I will make you guys, I'll show you the video because it's super easy to do. But man, a lot of people have messed it up. Even though it's like you just follow the instructions, that's too much for a lot of people. So I try to make them foolproof. That's the thing about JADAM, is it just, there's so many variables and it's like so many conversions and then the cultural differences between Korea and it's all this stuff. So that's why I like making the videos, because it's easier for people. LOL, need another chan for the herb. That's right, Jason. Yeah, I could do another channel with that. But I'm not into that anymore. I mean, that's where I found my passion and stuff like that. But I left that life behind me, man, years ago. Never looked back. But that doesn't mean that I still don't got all the knowledge and the passion, you know, and I don't know what works really well. The fish fertilizer for cannabis indoors. Absolutely, man. They love that stuff, especially primarily in the vegetative growth and up until about 2 weeks into flower when you start noticing the first signs of bud development. But you foliar them. They love this stuff. It really helps in the vegetative growth of any plants, whatever it might be. That's why we need you to convert JADAM into our understanding. Yes, yes. Thank you, Ricky. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing this. Which JADAM book do you recommend? Some of the videos of mine that I put JADAM in, or that are about the JADAM, I put a link in the description to the one. It's only one, really, I think. If you take no medications, are vitamins considered drugs in the system? You're talking about like when you take a vitamin pack or something, and then your urinate is neon fluorescent green or yellow, or you know. No, that's not really an issue. That's not really an issue. Those are not medications. Primarily what I'm talking about is antibiotics, because antibiotics go through you and into your urine, and by the very nature of what we are doing, antibiotics are very detrimental to the soil. Antibacteria, basically. So they are designed to kill microorganisms. And so that's the opposite of what we want to do. And so it's mostly antibiotics that I'm talking about. And guys, my friends, antibiotics are everywhere. They are saturated in our, I've spent some time on some of these cattle farms, just observing, and these guys are being real with me, and I know they were. They're saying every day they have to give their cattle antibiotics. They just put it in the feed and they put it in all kinds of stuff, because otherwise they'll get sick because of the way that they grow them and all this. And so all that gets into the meat, of course, and then you consume this and it's the soil food web is actively alive within us in a way. You have 100 trillion microorganism cells in your body. You actually have more microorganism cells in your body than human cells, which is mind-blowing. But we need to focus. So taking something that kills microorganisms is opening up ourselves to a host of all kinds of issues. And it's the same in the soil. Killing certain microorganisms is going to allow others to proliferate that wouldn't normally proliferate because they're kept in check by other ones. This is the natural system of checks and balances. And the soil and us are remarkably the same because we come from the soil. This body is the soil, just rearranged and then breathe life into it. Poof. And here I am. Here we are having this talk. But then, boom, I will go back to the soil. And all of these minerals, everything that has been rearranged in this certain way will go right back to the soil to then maybe become something else. I mean, who knows? It's beautiful, my friends. So that's why we really don't want to take any antibiotics if we can help it. And we don't want to have meat that's been treated with antibiotics because for all the reasons I just said. So thank you for that. I didn't think about medications. I was under the understanding that urine was sterile, though. I've seen people who drink their own urine. Very interesting cultures. That's right. Remember? Shivambu. That's what that's called. All other FPJ recipes I've seen call for brown sugar. Is there a reason you don't need it with yours? Well, I have not yet shown how to make FPJ. That's fermented plant juice. So I have not shown how to make that yet. Although that is something that I do use sometimes. So I just haven't got around to, I mean, this is already, there's a lot of work making all these videos and stuff. But I will get to the FPJs. But a big thing with the Korean natural farming and all of that stuff, you guys, is that, okay, do you grow the sugar cane? No, you don't. Probably not. You have to buy the sugar cane. And all these massive amounts of sugar and stuff, you're still dependent on something else. And nature never does it that way. Nature never dumps a bunch of sugar onto things, really. And so there's all these reasons. I could make a whole video on why I don't use sugar, and I don't recommend using sugar, because you become addicted to it, and the plants and the soil becomes addicted to it, and eventually it turns the soil acidic because of what it does. And the microorganism, it allows an imbalance of microorganisms to develop. And there's just no need. There's no need for it. So, like I said, that's the brief version. I could go on and on about why I don't use the brown sugar. But sometimes it's okay. For FPJ, you have to, though. You have to, because it's that osmotic pressure that pulls out the auxin, the growth hormones that accumulate in the tips of the plants. That's what we want to extract with the fermented plant juice, is the growth hormones. And to do that, we need to do that with the osmotic pressure of the brown sugar. So for certain things, yeah, like in the fish hydrolysate, I show you, use molasses. If you don't have molasses, is molasses okay? Yes. Although it doesn't work the same, not for FPJ. Korean natural farming, any of those inputs, never uses molasses, okay? So it's only brown sugar, and they operate on a very different way. And I can explain all that to you guys in the future if you want. But they operate in a very different way. Molasses and brown sugar in the ferments are not the same thing, okay? So, because I've made fish amino acids, FAA, I've made that as well, which produces a very good substance as well. It just takes a long time and a boatload of sugar. The reason why most cattle need antibiotics is because they are fed grain. Grain cannot be digested by cattle, so it causes acidosis of the liver and liver rot disease. Exactly correct, my friends. That's correct, Luke. They're fed grain, force-fed grain, and stuff like this. So yeah. Trish says, wow, if it turns soil acidic, imagine what it does to the body. Absolutely right, my friends. And that's the proper way to look at it, of what the soil and the body is one in many ways. So, do you add mulch every year and when? Great question. Absolutely. I mulch all the time. So I'll show you guys this fall how to procure a bunch of mulch for the next year and how to make the right piles and stuff like that. But yes, I mulch heavily with the leaves. Leaves. If you don't have access to leaves, then any kind of organic matter can work. Grass clippings can work, all this kind of stuff. So yes, I mulch thickly, but you have to remember, and this is what people always run into the issues when they do mulching, is you do not plant into the mulch. So no matter how deep your mulch is, you plant into the earth, the actual soil, which is sand, silt, and clay. That's what you plant into, and you mulch after that. Okay, so there's a bit of there's all kinds of different techniques and stuff to fine tune it, but you don't just plant into a bunch of leaves. That's not going to work. Okay. Question: can I use my June Kombucha that has turned into vinegar for my veggie plants? Now, it's turned into vinegar sort of because it tastes like vinegar, but kombucha is a totally different set of microorganisms. So I would recommend, because I brew kombucha myself, as you've seen in other videos. Let me know if you want to see a video on how to brew kombucha. I should do that. But You put that on the compost pile. That's the way to do it, really, with kombucha. The best way to do it is just put it on the compost pile. It's going to help to activate things. But if you're talking about for the water-soluble calcium, you're going to want to use an actual vinegar. Like the best is from cider. Apple cider vinegar is a very, very good kind. Just scrape away the old mulch before digging. Pretty much, yeah. You just part away the mulch, plant into the earth. It has to be mostly, the roots have to at least be a little bit in the actual earth. And then some of it can be above and then into the mulch. If it's been there, the best time to mulch is in the fall, because then it sets all winter long and decomposes. And you'll see if you go out there and lift it up, tons of earthworms underneath. Earthworms love leaves. And so they'll be all up in there. So then it will all settle down. And then next spring, you will just scoot it apart and plant into there, okay? Yes, I would like that. The kombucha is so sour it burns, like if you take a shot of apple cider. I know. Yeah, I know. It burns so bad, it's like less pleasant than apple cider. It's probably a very similar thing to the apple cider in a way, but yeah, there's just no need to try and replace it. You know, but the way that the microorganisms, it's a whole different set of microorganisms. Let's see. That's interesting about sugars being bad for the plants. I heard that sugar water is beneficial, so this isn't the case then. Not really, no, definitely not. And the way that a lot of people, especially like in the cannabis community, I don't know if you're one of them that we were talking about that, but so you feed molasses to the plants towards the end of the cycle, and it will make them sweeter in some way, okay? So this is marginally true, but only because you are feeding the microorganisms that are in the soil. That is what you're feeding with the sugar. So the plant cannot directly absorb the sugar. Just like everything else, the plant cannot directly absorb it. It must be converted into the form of sugar that the plant can use, and this only happens by microorganism activity. So no, sugar water is not good for the plants, and it's not good for the soil as well, because it's not balanced nutrition, see? And this is why we do the cold ferments, and this is why we don't heat things, and this is why we keep them. See, what spoils food, okay? Let's just think about this real quick. What spoils food? Light, air, and temperature. And so we put it in the refrigerator, which is dark, and we put it into a container that blocks out the oxygen. And that's what preserves the nutrition the best, right? And so, right, oxidation. Chad, thank you. And so that is what preserves the food the best. And so that's what keeps the vitamins and the minerals and the enzymes intact. So when we make our ferments, people are concerned about the anaerobic. No, we don't want the oxygen in there, because you put an air bubble in there and that's oxidating everything. So the nutrition of the actual substance is being degraded. And that's why we use containers that are dark, because it blocks the light out. So we keep the air and the light away from it, and that preserves the nutrients of the ferment for the plants and the microorganisms. Because remember, the soil and my body are one. They are the same thing. Okay. Sticky little bit of flavor. That's right. Yeah, that's what they think. I have too much kombucha for just me. Sola here. Yeah, I know. Me too. I'm constantly giving it away. But I found that some people, they're so accustomed to the ferment, to the stuff from the store that's got, kombucha from the store, they pasteurize it, kill everything in there, and then add organisms afterwards, the right type of microorganisms, and then add carbonation. It's a joke, okay? So the stuff from the store can never be as good as the stuff you brew yourself. But people they expect that flood of like intense flavor and that sugars and all the carbonation. Homemade stuff isn't like that, okay? So they're like, oh, this tastes watered down. No, that's because your taste buds have been enslaved. Okay, let's see. Okay, is it that one input, i.e. sugar, is good or bad, or using a balance in all things is what's important? Well, ultimately using the balance in all things is what's important. But the sugar in particular is because the way that the plant, the relationship, without going too deep into it, but here you have to understand why. That's the most important thing of knowledge. That's what turns information into knowledge, is the why, understanding the why. And so the plant takes sunlight and combines it with the other elements, air, carbon dioxide, the nutrients and all that, and it, using the power of the sun, it creates sugars. And then it pumps those sugars through its roots and puts them into the earth. We call these sugars exudates. Think that the plant roots exude sugars. They're called exudates. And it exudes the exact type of sugars that it knows will attract the exact type of bacteria that will produce what it needs. That's the intelligence, the unimaginable intelligence of the plant. Now, that's why the only thing that can build soil is a living root being in the ground, because only a living root in the ground can produce the exact type of sugar that the microorganisms need to build, okay? So if we go adding things that have forms of sugar already in them, that is going to absolutely, that's going to throw off the balance, because the plant is trying to attract the type of microorganisms that like its sugar. So if we're feeding sugar to it and stuff, that's going to throw off the balance of everything and the way that the plant is working. So in nature, it would never be getting flooded with sugars. So that's the simple rundown of it. Luke says, disgusting. What's disgusting? This is all natural, my friend. Luke says, refined sugar makes sense. What about pure cane, molasses, maple syrup? This is heated, so may not, honey, etc. That have minerals and nutrients. Yeah, it's okay. That's why if you do see me using any type of sugar in the ferments, it is blackstrap molasses with all the minerals in it. Or if you live in India, when I used to travel in India, they make this drink on the side of the road where they just have a sugar cane, a big giant sugar cane, and they just feed it through this press, just right there, just chunk, 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 chunk. They feed it and it just squeezes the sugar cane. Oh, it was so delicious. $5. Thank you, Byron. Appreciate that. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the $5 tip. I got my BJJ tournament in a few months. Got advice? You talking about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? I would say awaken the animal within, my friend. And that is all you need. There is a warrior that dwells within you. And all you have to do is release the ferocity of that warrior. Can you ferment the fish hydro over winter since you don't use leaf mold? You can, but the fish hydrolysate takes a very short amount of time because we're inoculating it with the lactobacilli. And so it's best to just make it and then bottle it up. Yeah, it's best to just bottle it up, okay? Because it doesn't do the same thing. It doesn't get any better with time because it all happens really fast. So I would just, okay, can you ferment the, okay, Mad Dog. The pasteurized kombucha in the store you were talking about is disgusting. Oh, that's what you're talking about. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it totally is. And it's a joke. It's like they're insulting people's intelligence. Everyone thinks they're drinking something really healthy. They go get their GT kombucha. It's sugar water with a couple enzymes added, my friends, and carbonation. Okay, real kombucha is a superfood of the gods. Okay, it is very, very good for you. And you can just taste the life force. You drink it and just, wow, life force. Okay. I kind of want to go get some right now, but I'm attached to this live stream. So, okay, any more questions? So we're hitting up. Yeah, hit the like button and show Nate some love for his time and knowledge. Yeah, just me. Thank you very much. I always forget that. Yeah, guys, when you watch any of my videos, if you can, please just go ahead and leave a comment. Doesn't matter what it is. Just first thing that comes to your mind or your experience or something. Just share it. Be part of it, be part of the sharing of knowledge in the community and all that. Because for one, people love to read the comments. And so if you can share some of your knowledge, or if you ask a question, I can then answer it, and then people can learn from that. And so that helps to, and the algorithm is like, oh, okay, people are like these videos because they're engaging with them. So we better share this to more people, yeah? because I'm talking about growing the channel, you know, as much as possible, of course, because I love growing stuff, of course. And so with you guys' help, we can just grow the channel. Who knows, man? Maybe we'll have 50,000 subscribers next season or whatever. Who knows? I mean, that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it just because, you know, I don't even know why, just because I feel compelled to just do it. And that's good enough for me. I have a bumper crop of yellow watermelon this year. Thanks to this channel making urea, yes. Yellow watermelon? Chad, where do you live to have a bumper crop of watermelon? I've been getting the GT kombucha for the nice bottles. Yeah, I know, me too. And I definitely have gotten some of that. But see, when I first moved back here after leaving the mountains and all, after my exodus from the mountains, I had to make my own SCOBY. And so that was easy to do in California, where I just got my friends, I just asked for a bottle of their kombucha, which was the real kombucha. Then there's a process, but you can make your own. Thank you, Reed, $5. Thank you, my friend. There's a process, you can make your own SCOBY from a bottle of kombucha. And so I would do that. But then when I came back here, I tried a number of different kinds from the store, and none of them would grow a kombucha. So that's what led me into the research of why. And then I found out how they're made, and it's like, oh, okay, it's a scam, basically. My husband and I enjoy your videos. Better when it's live. Thank you, Mr. Viking. You are very welcome. Angela Mello. I like to say that rolls off the lips real nice. That would be amazing if we could put all the commercial food growers out of business. Yeah, you ain't kidding, my friend. And that's ultimately one way or another, it's going to happen. Because for all of human history, food production has been decentralized. And it's still this way in many places that I've been. But for the most part, people need to be growing whatever they can in whatever space they have available. No amount of food production is too small to make an impact. So even if you just grow your own herbs, that's still something. And that's still harnessing the gift of the mother goddess, the earth. So that is still harnessing the gift of, she says here, I will provide everything for you. Just don't destroy it. Just don't screw it all up, and I'll provide everything for you, like I've been doing for thousands of years. All we have to do is say, okay, mother, thank you. Thank you. I will accept your gift, and I will help you. I will help you help us all. That's all that has to happen. And everyone begin growing their own stuff again and turn their entire lawn into food. Elena, thank you very much. $5. She says, thank you for your knowledge. You are very welcome, my friend. Thank you for the tip. Can't buy anything like what I got anywhere. It looks like regular watermelon, but yellow inside. Tastes like peach, banana, and honey. Whoa, that sounds delicious. Yeah, okay, I know the kind you're talking about. Looks like regular water. For some reason, I thought yellow shelled watermelon, but yeah, that sounds great. Our gardens are victory gardens. That's absolutely correct, my friend. And if you talk with some of the people, the great-grandparents that were still around during that time, they will tell you, as I have asked many and stuff, that we were doing it because it was our duty. And it didn't matter if it didn't provide everything. We subsidized our food production with it. And that's what the victory garden was. Just me. I loved all your videos of your travel adventures. Very comical and entertaining. Yes, thank you, my friend. That was, yeah. So I have another channel that some of you know called The Saga of Nate Murray, which I got like 25 videos so far. And I will be picking those videos up again in the fall time. But those are where I get to sort of just like express some of the lessons that I've learned on the road. But we've only got into the very, very beginning of it. That's only like the first year worth of traveling. I traveled for 10 years. So there is going to be a lot more stuff coming. Let us see. Will you be doing a follow-up video for your onion seed starts? Let me just take you outside. Just hold on. Let me just take you outside and show you real quick, okay? Because I'm the kind of person, I'm like, okay, if you know what you're talking about, you better prove it. You better prove it, okay? Because I don't just lip service doesn't really matter. So for me, though, I think that proving it is by showing, okay, This is the follow-up of the, do you see all these? Nice, beautiful, big, rock solid, pungent, sulfuric, beautiful onions. And these are the yellow sweet Spanish onions. Nice and big, these are sweet, not so, they don't store as long though because they are sweet. And the longer storing ones, like this Australian brown, is a very high sulfur content. And so that is why they store so long. But also there is ones like these Weatherfield Reds. These red, they're kind of a flat kind. I got these from Baker Creek Seeds. They store not quite, or they store very, very well, but they're like a combination, you know, they're not very sulfuric as well. So there's all the hundreds of onions that you saw me plant in the springtime. And then here's all the garlic and stuff like that. Look, if you want to see a video on look how big this one is. This is elephant garlic. I'm not gonna joke. I mean, I'm not gonna try and fool you. This is elephant garlic. And look here. These are the pole bean, sort of a privacy kind of shade a little bit, but these are also, these are rattlesnake pole beans, delicious. And these are gonna just start producing. These are also pole beans. So yeah, to answer the question, that's the proof that, I mean, it works. It works. So that's what really matters. Now, I don't know if that answered your question, but that sparked me to want to show you that. So whatever. But yeah, so this is just the first year I've had this channel. So, you know, I'm going to be making a lot of videos. I'm just kind of making videos about whatever I'm doing at the moment. I mean, so when I made that onion video, I was planting the onion seeds and stuff. But if you ever want to see more, then Luke says, are they all hanging? Is there a reason to hang the onions, garlic to dry, or can they be dried anyway? I assume other foods should be dried in specific ways. Luke, yes. The reason that I hang them this way is because, and I do not cut them. So you hang, you pull, and there was another, when do I pick my onions? Okay. Onion harvesting. We got a few minutes left. Onion harvesting. So when the if you're in the north, sort of like north of Tennessee and stuff, then about mid-July is when this becomes ready. But you will notice that your onions, when the neck, okay, so the onion is growing, and when the neck gets a little bit soft and begins to fall over, when about half of the onions begin to fall over, that's when they're ready to be pulled. Because as soon as you see that top fall over, it's done. There's no more the bulb's not going to get any bigger. It's done getting big. So you want to pull them up, because if you let it go too long, if all the tops fall over and they lay over there for a long time, Mrs. P, $10. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work. I will do that, no doubt, especially with people like you helping to support. So when the tops fall over like that, don't think that, well, I'm just going to let it get a little bit bigger. No, you're not. In fact, you're going to hinder your storage time, because that neck's going to get real soft. So pull them all up. As soon as you see just about half of them or a few of them, once they fall over, pull them up. Hang them upside down. Do not cut them. And this, you'll hear it many different ways, but this is the way that I have found works the best for storage, for long-term storage. These onions I showed you, I'm just going to carry that thing downstairs with the help of a friend, carry it downstairs and just set it just like that. And then pull them as I need them throughout all winter long. Onions and garlic, you don't cut them. You don't cut them before you store them, because the bulb, so the bulb is what matters in the natural world, in nature. The bulb is going to survive for the next year, because all of those are biennials. So onions produce their seed the second year. And so so it's all about the bulb. And so it wants the bulb to survive. So when it gets traumatized by pulling up your onion, it takes all the life force and the energy from the green part and moves it into the bulb, because it wants to give all of its good stuff to the bulb to ensure that it can produce seed next year. And so that's why we just leave it. Just let it hang like that, and that's going to put all the good life force and all the good storage capabilities into the onion bulb. And that's going to dry up that neck. So if we cut the neck off too short, it's going to allow bacteria to get up in there, and they'll spoil. So you want to let them hang like that. And then once they're crispy brown and dry, then you can cut them off. You know. Question, how are people sending you money gifts through this forum? I'm not exactly sure. I think that there's like a button that says like thanks with a money sign and a heart. I think that's what they're doing. Whatever way it is, it's just fantastic. I mean, this is really inspiring to see that from people. I mean, this is great because that's how you know that somebody, I mean, that's one way. That's one way to know that somebody is really valuing something when they're like, thank you for your time. Here is a representation of my time. Some money. Ricky Lou says there's a dollar symbol in the chat line. Okay. It's next to the emojis. Lower right of page. See the dollar sign? Okay, there we go. Thank you very much. Laura says, I have a serious drought and I find myself fighting pests that I never had to deal with before. Plants that were normally pest-free now have new pests attacking them. Yeah. When plants are unhealthy, it's a magnificent thing of nature, actually, is that when plants are unhealthy, the plant will actually send out signals to the insects to come and destroy it. I know that sounds crazy, doesn't it? But that's how nature ensures that only the strongest ones survive, because it wants the strongest ones to survive. So a vibrant, healthy, thriving plant with a good soil food web and adequate moisture and all that stuff will not become attacked by pests. Short of like locusts and grasshoppers, those are a different deal. But like aphids and mites and all these other kind of hornworms, all this kind of stuff, that's a different, that is what I'm talking about. The plant will actually attract these things when it's unhealthy. And that's part of the perfection of nature. But obviously we don't want that to happen. So yeah, utilize any of the natural pesticides that I have shown. There's still one natural pesticide that I haven't made the video about, but because I'm just not sure, I don't want people burning their plants because this one is strong. It instantly melts slugs and it's certified organic. I know, it's crazy. I learned this from JADAM as well. It instantly melts slugs and snails and aphids and mites. But you can, if you go overboard, you can burn your plants with it, okay? Okay, Ricky, okay, I need to make sure my credit card info is established. I don't think so. How does one do that? I need to make sure my credit card info is established. I don't think so. How does one do that? Yes, I'm not sure exactly, but I definitely appreciate any of that, okay? Does it melt pincher bugs? It only melts soft-bodied insects, so cabbage moths, aphids, anything with a soft body. The hard exoskeleton, no, it won't. So, if adding sugars can affect the balance of the soil, are there additives, fertilizers with too much use that we should worry about that would affect our soil food web? Well, the philosophy is that the good and the bad are one. And this is a core principle of JADAM as well, even though this is a core principle of my life separate of JADAM as well. But the good and the bad are one. They're two sides of the same thing. And so too much of a good thing becomes bad. And so in crazy excess, yes, anything can become harmful. But for the most part, if you're talking about these grass fertilizers and stuff like that, no, because I mean, you would have to be dumping bucket loads of the stuff on there. So no, it doesn't really, because they're balanced. They're really well balanced. So we don't need to worry about that. If you're giving something that is already balanced into the soil, it's going to just maintain that balance in the soil. So the things that would be lopsided would be like the urea fertilizer or the ash fertilizer. Yes, those we could do too much of. But for the fermented, like the grass, and I'll be showing you guys some crop-specific fertilizers as well. Some fertilizers that are specifically for the crop that you're trying to grow. All of that, super beneficial. Is it the JS you are referring to? When are onion seeds planted? No, it's not the, no, I'm not referring to the JADAM sulfur, although that is a very good one as well, which I will show you guys how to make. Should I make that the next video? I'm not sure if, I just don't know if you guys are ready for that. I don't know if you're ready for that. Are you? So, because I've already made it and I already recorded it and all that stuff. But I just don't want people burning their stuff. And that's the thing. You're only using 1 teaspoon a gallon of this stuff, sprayed only in the nighttime and only for a couple of days. You don't want to continually use it, okay? So that's the JADAMs. Okay, I'm getting a bunch of yeses. So I guess you guys feel like you are ready for it then. So, okay, we can do that. We're not babies. Show us. I know. Okay, you guys can do it. I will show you. Onion planting is a whole topic unto itself. You're absolutely right. Oh my goodness, you're absolutely right. If someone were to ask me, Nate, what's the #1 mistake I see people make with onion planting? They bury them too deep. They bury the transplants too deep, and then they don't get bulbs. The bulb of the onion plant should be literally resting on top of the soil. A little tiny bit. Okay, I'm getting a bunch of yeses now. Okay, what was I thinking then? So everyone's like, yes, yes, yes. Thumbs up, oh yeah. Okay, well, then how about this? I'll make the very next video how to make the JADAM sulfur. And the JADAM sulfur is the ideal fungicide and pesticide, all different kinds of things. It's useful for all sorts of stuff. You can research it yourself, but I'll also, in the video, I'll give you a few, some explanation like I do. Because you have to have some of the understanding of the why. That's what turns information into knowledge. So yes, I will make that, and then you'll know. And then one down the road will be the super atomic bomb for the slugs, aphids, and stuff like that. That's the one that you will use only at nighttime in very small amounts because it is powerful. Is it toxic to animals? No. I house my parrots in the greenhouse. Oh, that sounds lovely. Parrots in your greenhouse? Dang. No, it's not toxic to animals. I mean, not really. I mean, not unless you don't let them drink it. Yeah, don't spray. Yeah, Trish says don't spray your parrots. Yeah, but if it's just on the plants and stuff, no, it's not going to affect anything. In fact, sulfur is wonderful for the soil and the plants. It's actually, in some circles, it's considered the 4th of the macronutrients, N, P, K, and S, sulfur. It helps with all different kinds of stuff. So, yes, parrots, and it is tropical. Come on, folks. I would not spray my parrots. Yeah, come on, folks. Okay, let's see here. All you can do is add a big disclaimer. People are, yeah, Trish, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I'll add the disclaimer, definitely. And can I plant corn direct seed in Houston? Yes, you can. I mean, yeah, because you don't get any frost there, right? You wouldn't, corn, I don't know what your overwinter is like, but yeah, if it's a little bit cooler during the winter time, then yeah, you could direct seed it. But yeah, corn can be direct seeded. If it's real hot, 2 inches deep, lots of your nitrogen. It likes nitrogen, big time. Okay. I need for spraying my fruit trees. Yes, you definitely do. The JADAM sulfur is going to be ideal for spraying fruit trees. It helps to sweeten things up as well. And with the JADAM sulfur, it's not like a fungicide that kills stuff. I mean, it does in a way, but more so, it creates an environment that doesn't allow the pathogens to proliferate. That's the thing. So there's pathogens everywhere. There's all kinds of there's E. coli right now on my skin or right now on these places, but they're kept in check by all the other stuff. And so only when something happens and there's an imbalance do the things proliferate. And so it is very similar. Remember, the body and the soil are one. So yes, you can get 2 direct seeded seasons from corn in Texas. Dang! Wayfaring Farmer says 2 seasons from corn in Texas. So yeah, you guys can talk about that because we definitely aren't getting 2 seasons here in northern Indiana. We get multiple flushes or multiple runs, if we stagger it, but no, we're not replanting twice. The calcium solution I made has crusty white pieces around the edges of the jar. Is the sulfur or calcium? Crusty white pieces. Well, that's the calcium. That would definitely be the calcium. But you should filter that. Remember, I said in the video, once you let the reaction happen. You want to filter that stuff through a very fine, like a double layer of t-shirt, okay? Because you don't want to get the particles into your backpack sprayer, or it'll clog drip emitters or whatever you're trying to do to. Okay, what do you think about Diatomaceous earth? I would assume you mean diatomaceous earth. It's good. It's good. Yeah, it depends. I mean. But again, it's the thing, do you make it yourself? No. And so there are other ways. We have to figure out other ways of doing things. Diatomaceous earth, it works good. I've never had really great results with it though, as far as, I used to use it to try and deter the slugs, but slugs don't scare me anymore now that I have the ultimate thing. So I know peas store nitrogen in the roots. Should I cut them in for my fall garden or put them up for my weed fertilizer? With peas, never pull the roots up. They are awesome for the soil. Awesome for the soil. And so cut the roots off at the ground and then put the plants, whatever's left of the plant, into your weed fertilizer. But leave the roots in the ground, because the difference is astonishing, because of the rhizobial bacteria, of course, that fix the nitrogen from the air. Because remember, the air that we breathe is 79% nitrogen. Yes, 20% oxygen and 1% all other gases. Carbon dioxide only accounts for 3/100ths of 1% of the composition of air. Thought I would just hit you with that fact. Okay, guys, I don't want to make them too long, so we'll be bringing this to a close. What is wrong with the ready-made sulfur solutions you can buy on Amazon? Are they unsafe? I don't know anything about that. As far as, I don't know what solution you're talking about, or what, I mean, I know that there are solutions, and I'm sure that that's perfectly good and stuff as well. But the JADAM sulfur, you make it yourself, and it's pennies on the dollar as far as the price of everything. And we just want to, and we have such a more thorough understanding of it and a control of it. And it's just very, very effective, okay? And I will put links in the description when I make the video. I'll put links in the description. But you see, you have to get this giant bag of sulfur. I mean, I got way more than I needed. You don't have to get that much, but sulfur, and then 100% or 99% sodium hydroxide, which is lye. Which this we're also going to use in that magical slug melting potion that I'm going to tell you guys about eventually. But see, man, the thing is just so lush. I mean, it is crazy luscious outside right now. There is so much being harvested. And guys, do you want to see a video on this here? Look, I have made making all these fermented pickles. They are so delicious. The best pickles I've ever had in my life. This recipe in particular, fermented pickles. And this is the best thing to do with the pickles, in my opinion. And you put them in the refrigerator. There's 0 vinegar used, and these are bursting with life. Lactobacilli. See, kombucha. Another kombucha over there. Oh yeah. Okay. I'm in Canada. I'm growing Jamaican Caloo. Can I use this in my fertilizer bin too? The Jamaican Caloo loves nitrogen. I am not familiar with that plant, so I cannot say. But whatever the plant is, you can use it for the most part in your brew, yes. Do you have any advice for multiplying the water kefir grains I just got? No. No, I don't have enough knowledge and experience in the realm of kefir to be able to give you a confident answer. So no. I love your recipes. Please share more. Ethereal Goddess. That's a wonderful name. Yes, okay. I will do that. Thank you. Because I noticed that like the cabbage video, you know, it didn't perform nearly as well as the other videos and stuff. But that's to be expected. I know that. That doesn't bother me. Because not everyone is into, you know, fermenting foods, but some people definitely are. Thank you. I appreciate your honesty. Oh yeah, definitely, man. I have no problem. If I don't know something, I have no problem saying, oh, I don't know. Don't know enough about it. So, yes, videos on anything fermented. Okay, good. Yeah, because, man, that's the other part of gardening. I mean, okay, you've got a great big garden over there, but like cucumbers, they flood you with abundance for like 2 weeks. And then they're like, piddle out. And so what are you going to do with 600 cucumbers? Well, you really want to be able to store them so that midwinter you can pull out some of these nice, succulent, crispy, crunchy, delectable pickles and eat them with your meal. That's what I'm all about, is preserving the harvest. Yeah, because everything has a season and everything has a prime within that season with which it produces all the abundance that it possibly can. Okay, let's see. Let's see here. Is there any more questions? Okay, is there any more burning questions that I haven't answered? I'll give you a minute or two to put that in there, because we're gonna have to bring it to a close. Okay, because I want to make it a reasonable length. Because I hope that people will watch these, not just on the live stream, but because there's so much information. There's so much. You just absorb so much. So my thought with these kind of live streams is that you can just put it on, like when you're driving or something like that, or whenever, and just absorb all this knowledge. You know, that's how I learned so many things, just through osmosis. I am overwhelmed with figs. Any fermenting suggestions? Gah, show off. Yeah, I wish I had an overwhelming fig tree. No, sorry, I don't have enough experience with figs to know. But if you ever wanted to make a fig fertilizer, then you can ferment the figs, and that will be good for the fig tree. But other than that, just dry the figs, man. I eat dried figs every day. Yeah, and maybe send me a couple bushels of them. I love anything pickled, but the sodium does not love me. Can the salt be reduced in these recipes? Well, that's the thing. With the sea salt, though, the 100% sea salt is not a problem. It is only iodized, it is only table salt that has been stripped of 81 of the 82 minerals so that all that is left is sodium chloride. That is horrible for the body, very detrimental. But sea salt has all 82 minerals of the sea, and so the body knows exactly how to absorb this and what to do with it properly. So sea salt is not an issue for our body. I consume loads of sea salt. But that being said, the ferments, though, it appears like a lot of salt, but it also, when you're eating them in such small amounts, you don't actually get that much salt into the body. But that being said, you could reduce the salt a little bit, but give it a try. Reduce the salt a little bit, but you'll know that you reduced it too much when it turns rancid, because the salt is of utmost paramount importance in making the fermentation process happen. Because without the salt, the wrong bacteria is going to proliferate. So the salt has to be used. Maybe a little bit less, but I'm already putting in as little salt as I can. Sea salt is all I use. Of course, Trish, I didn't think anything less, but I was just stating that for everybody else. Can you use your fermented brines as fertilizer? Can you use your fermented brines as fertilizer? There's no need. I mean, you could add it to one of the fertilizers, but remember, there's a lot of salt in there. And salt is great for the plants, but remember the philosophy, the good and the bad are one. So too much of the salt is definitely deadly for the plants. And so we want to be very cautious with that. Just joining, but love your videos. You make JADAM real simple. That is good to hear. And thank you for the positive feedback, Kylie. I will continue to do that, okay? How do you make OHN? Yeah, that's a much bigger topic. The Oriental Herbal Solution. Yeah, I'll be getting into more K&F stuff probably next year in the spring. I mean, I've already done all that, but as far as making the videos, I'll probably be doing that later because I'm not making any. Most of those ferments are for the spring. Luke says, one problem with sea salt is that there are microplastics found in the sea as well as any pollution. Very sad. Yeah, I know. Very sad. But we have to mitigate. We do with what we can. Devin, bro, I love your knowledge. I'm hooked. I definitely want more videos. Thank you from Southern Indiana. Cool. Well, you're very welcome from Northern Indiana. Looking forward to the JADAM sulfur. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Okay. Okay, my friends. So 90 minutes, that's going to have to be the cap for now. I appreciate everything. So remember, any of the videos that you guys watch, leave a comment, do the thumbs up. If you would like to support the channel, I usually put a PayPal link in the description. Also the thanks with the money sign, you know, you can do that. Or whatever way you find necessary. Also, you can support it just by commenting and sharing the videos and stuff. Kylie's watching from the Bahamas. Ah, lucky. Chad, good show, good talk. Yes, thank you. Yes, my friends, so I enjoyed our time together, and I'm just going to make this a regular thing every Saturday, noon to 1 or 1:30 or whatever, you know. Doesn't matter if it's going good like this one. This was really enjoyable. I mean, it literally almost feels like I'm sitting in a room full of friends. So that is pretty cool. So I hope that some people got their questions answered. And if you have any more, put them in the comments of the video section. I try to get back to as much as I can, although there's a lot of questions now. A lot of people are getting involved in all this. So if I don't get to your question, just ask it again. Okay, don't take it personal. Yeah, Austin says, get the Patreon. I know, that's a great idea as well. However, this is my thing, okay? Let me just say this real quick with the Patreon, is that, you know, I spent years, as you know, I say this all the time, but it's a big part of me. I spent years traveling the world. And so I spent a lot of time. I drove motorcycles through India and rode my bicycle through Morocco. And I've been through all these places where there's people that do not make, that to them, even $1 a month would be totally absurd. And so, I mean, a ridiculous amount of money. And so I feel like I need to share this knowledge completely cost-free to the people that can't provide, you know what I mean? Like, so if they want the knowledge, that they can just get it. Not everyone can afford the Patreon, you know? So I truly feel, when I think about starting the Patreon, I feel in my heart that the people that have the means to support this operation here, they will do so. They will just do so. And I truly believe that. And that I don't have to put a price tag on the knowledge. And so that will help to spread to more people. So that's probably why I'm not going to start a Patreon, you know, because I just trust in my heart that the people that have the means to support will support. Yes? Okay. Okay, my friends.